Today's top stories at NBR. A significant victory for an NBR lister, a template for Sky TV, small business on its knees, and there's more coming right up. Kia ora and welcome to NBR Today, a wrap of the day's top business stories from the authority in New Zealand business news since 1970, nbr.co.nz. It's Thursday, October 28th. I'm Paul Brennan. Thanks again for joining us. The Australian consumer market is in the sights of Wellington's SHARESIES trading platform after it raised $50 million in its latest funding round. The issue, at $150.36 a share, values the company at $489 million, nearly double its value a year ago and more than stock exchange NZX, which has a market capitalisation of $480 million. SHARESIES has identified a potential pool of 1 million people who are new to investing, the same type of person that makes up 70% of the company's local customers, and will target them as well as the more seasoned Aussie investor in a more mature market for investing with the funds it has raised. In a significant victory for NBR lister Murray Bolton, the High Court has directed the government to reconsider its refusal to grant him an exemption to managed isolation and quarantine requirements. Bolton and his partner had sought an exemption from managed isolation and quarantine so that they could isolate at home on their return from Boston, where Bolton is due to attend a board meeting to consider the float of Explore Technologies, in which he owns a significant stake. Their application was refused by the ministry on October 17. Issuing his decision this morning, Thursday, after a hearing Wednesday, Justice Geoffrey Venning ordered the decision refusing Bolton's exemption application to be set aside. Australian paid television provider Foxtel, jointly owned by Telstra and News Corp, is something of a template, as well as one of its former executives, to Sky TV, as it seeks to rein in its cost base. This morning, Thursday, at the company's virtual AGM, CEO Sophie Maloney said the company had hired the former SFO of Foxtel, James Marsh, to provide an expert external eye as they drive themselves to re-examine every cost line, especially any and all third-party spending. At Foxtel, Marsh had overseen a cost-cutting exercise that had seen an increase in offshoring and outsourcing. Foxtel is also providing something of a template for Maloney in terms of the rollout of the company's new all-white skybox, a picture of which was shown in the CEO's presentation. Maloney said she had listened to the recent Foxtel strategy presentation and noted the emphasis they are placing on their new IQ5 box to serve their satellite base. New Zealand small businesses are seeing a worrying increase in the wait to get paid as the ongoing COVID-19 restrictions wear the sector down. Accounting software platform Xero's Small Business Index for September is the first covering a full month of the latest lockdown. It indicates Auckland firms are waiting an average of 29.6 days to get paid, up 4.4 days on the previous month. Nationally, SMEs are waiting 26.2 days, 2.7 days longer than in July, and the highest since June 2020. The Xero data also record an 18.4% drop in sales for Auckland firms compared with the same time last year, while nationally sales have dropped 7.1%, but the lengthening wait for payment is a more concerning indicator, New Zealand and Pacific Islands Managing Director Craig Hudson said. Air New Zealand has drawn down a further $105 million of its $1.5 billion government standby loan facility since announcing its financial results in August, and may need to add another $445 million before the end of February next year if the status quo persists. Speaking at the NZX and ASX-listed airlines' online annual shareholder meeting today, Chair Dame Therese Walsh said it had drawn a total of $455 million on the facility and currently had just over $1 billion of available liquidity under its terms, in addition to $211 million cash on hand as at October 26. However, aircraft delivery payments and deferred PAYE tax payments to the IRD that could not be delayed any further would add to the cash requirements of the company in coming months, potentially pushing the borrowing up over $900 million over summer. The full details of those stories and more are at nbr.co.nz right now. Tomorrow at NBR, in his Hunter's Corner column, Tim Hunter says the FMA says a conflict of interest linked to KiwiSaver provider Booster was properly managed. But how can we be sure? And Rachel Smalley critiques the Prime Minister's presentation skills. I'm Paul Brennan. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow from around lunchtime for the morning's NBR trending stories. Then same time, same place, right here again tomorrow from 5:30 and right through the weekend for another NBR This Week.